Hey everyone, welcome back to Gnostic Alchemy. My name is Genevieve or Genevieve Akal. I'm a Gnostic nun and priestess, not the Vatican kind, but the kind that existed before the Judeo-Christian Empire. Today I want to talk about Kundalini Awakening. So since my sermon on the Anatomy of Enlightenment and the truth about the serpent, the Kundalini life force, and a few posts I've been doing on my Instagram, many people have been inboxing me asking how they activate the awakening. So I thought it was really important, and I felt in my heart to just say this today, and hopefully it's helpful to anybody out there who has a longing for this very intimate Kundalini experience. So I will start with just some of my personal story to help you understand. Okay. Kundalini Awakening and a massive experience of unification with the one divinity takes a lot of work. So for me, I didn't know anything about Kundalini, the spirit science of the chakra system. I didn't know any of this stuff. I just found myself over a decade ago in a life that was incredibly uncomfortable. I was incredibly uncomfortable in my body. I had overwhelming emotions and anxiety. My mind wouldn't stop. I looked around at my life and I was deeply unhappy. And all I wanted to do was get well. That's all I wanted to do. And so slowly I started to look for things, and I activated the search in myself of how do I do this. And I found a therapist, and thank God she was also a somatic healer. So not only did we do talk therapy, which is helpful, but it doesn't come close to somatic therapy, and that's been proven now. Unless you're using the body to deal with your healing, talk therapy, you will be going around in loops for years. So thank God, I didn't know what somatic therapy was. I didn't know I had pain locked into my nervous system. So I started to do that work. And I noticed that it helped, which is why I carried on, right? I only wanted to do things that made me feel good, where I could feel something changing, right? So I was in codependent anonymous groups for years. And group therapy. I did EMDR for some time. I did a lot of quantum energy coaching where my therapist would help me identify core wounds in myself and we could turn those around, right? So what I'm trying to communicate here is the Kundalini experience I had came after years of self-work and recovery and purification. And I wasn't even trying to get the Kundalini experience. If one starts out going, I want to have an explosive experience in my pineal gland, there's something wrong. That's the wrong question. That's the wrong question to ask. Why are you asking that question? What is it that you're lacking in your normal life? Because the Kundalini Awakening, all my recovery, now I look back at it and I say, that was my Kundalini Awakening. When I spent many years dealing with the issues that are associated with the root and the sacrum, those two chakra points, issues of abuse, safety, dysfunctional upbringing, control, emotional neglect, rejection, abandonment. These were deep things I had to resolve in my own psyche. Deep parts of myself I had to integrate, deep wounds in my inner child. That is Kundalini Awakening. Retrieving these lost parts of the self, right? And going through the hard work of recovery. It's recovery. Kundalini Awakening is recovery. Everyone just wants the big pineal explosion at the end, but nobody wants to do the decade of recovery it takes, or however long it takes, and face the dark wounds that are actually blocking the life force energy from being able to elevate higher. That is Kundalini Awakening, I'm sorry to say. There is no magic wand somebody can wave And by God, if you end up having a Kundalini awakening before you've done any self-recovery and you're still riddled with wounds, despair, melancholy, numbness and discomfort, dis-ease in your life, you would go mad. You would go absolutely mad. Because when the Kundalini awakening happens, sure, it's a beautiful, blissful experience, but you are left with a surging life force in you that wants to purify even more at a heightened level. So I was purifying myself for over a decade with recovery work, and then after the Kundalini awakening, it really escalated exponentially. And I could barely keep track of what was real and what was an illusion, what was being mirrored, what was true. It is so intensive that if you haven't even started the process of mirror work and recovery and going into your body and it's going back into embodiment and releasing and integrating and being Socratic, you would never cope with a Kundalini awakening. If by some, that's a small percentage of people that just have one inexplicably, like that. But when it comes into when people say they have a Kundalini awakening and they're talking about, everyone wants the one where it really does open into your pineal and your crown, right? You unfortunately need to work for that. And I've said it in many voice notes in my IG to people asking me, I'm like, you just said when you asked me about Kundalini awakening that you were feeling rejected, unaffirmed, disconnected in your life. Go there. Forget about the Kundalini awakening. It's a delusion. It's another form of avoiding picking up the reins of your existence and starting to do the hard work. Why do you feel rejected? Go there. Go and seek help. You cannot do it alone. There are many groups that work for free, anonymous groups that work for free. Follow the nose. If you want to engage in your own well-being and your own recovery, the holy divine consciousness will assist you with that and will bring you the exact healers and guides and assistance you need at the perfect time. But you have to be fully engaged in it. And I'll just say from personal experience that I can't even tell you how many times over the years of my recovery I sat with my somatic and cognitive practitioner therapist and was just like, who is, by the way, my guru. I just want to say that. I've had an awakening and I speak like many yogis and Indian sages, sure. Because, if there's one power, there's one awakening, and everyone that has experienced it is trying to communicate it to the rest of the world in some way and using whatever language we have. And here I am in India. My guru isn't up in the Himalayas disconnecting from life in his body. My guru is my therapist. That is my guru, my somatic therapist, who guided me through the landmines in my own brain, through years of trauma release and somatic work and quantum energy inner engineering coaching. She actually gave me the legitimate tools and the words and the language and the practices to shift my experience on this earth. All I wanted was peace. I didn't give a shit. I didn't even know about Kundalini or this esoteric wisdom. I had no idea it even existed. All I wanted was peace in my own body. All I wanted was to feel good in my skin. All I wanted was to feel aliveness again. And you're only asking about a Kundalini awakening because you want that too. Somewhere your life is despairing. And the big explosion in your brain is not going to help, my friend. You have to pick yourself up and you need to go and get help. And you need to stick to it. That's the hard part. I would do TRE once, a somatic practice once, and be like, well, it was my experience, it's done. Because that's what Judeo-Christianity does to you. oh yeah, Jesus saves you, you go for your altar call, you get saved, and then it's done. You're saved. No. Every week, twice a week, day in, day out, it comes around and around and around. Your issues don't dissolve after one therapy session, believe me. It never ends. I remember saying to my therapist / guru, I'm so tired of this. This was after a few years in of recovery. I'm so fucking tired. I'm so tired. It wouldn't end. It wouldn't end. I would have victories and I would have realizations, but it just kept coming round and round. And she said to me, you have a property, right? And I said, yeah. She was like, you have to maintain that property. I was like, yeah, I do. She's like, your body and your soul and your psyche is the same. So slowly I stopped moaning about maintenance, self-maintenance. But that is Kundalini Awakening. And until you show up for yourself and you put in the degree of discipline it takes to not just prescribe pills and disappear into oblivion, but to actually face each thing, to go into the body, to reclaim the self, to peel it off piece by piece, then the grace blesses you eventually with an awakening of that level. But you're having awakenings the whole way. Believe me, the recovery journey is not like you are literally pulling the energy up your system through recovery. When you're working through the deep trauma and psychological issues of despair and worthlessness associated with these energy points, until eventually it comes up into the will and the heart. And I remember starting to feel love and joy again. Like actually enjoying my life. I hadn't enjoyed it for years. You know, but you have to coax it up with your own self-work. And anybody telling you that they're going to just, give you a Kundalini awakening and there's some freaking guru who can pull it up, they're a liar. You have to show up for yourself if you want the ineffable to touch you in that manner. That's just the hardcore truth. And it's funny how many times I've been saying this on my IG and DMs with people that are asking, and then they disappear. No, I don't want that. Because most people are not willing to do the work that it takes. And that's your choice. Stay in this weird numbness of worthlessness and despair, but it functions. It's a functional kind of life in some way. You've got used to it. You've got comfortable with the pain. Or ask for help and be in an active relationship with the Divine Mother and divinity within, and be seeking out your recovery tools. They will come to you when you activate it, and then you stick to them no matter what. That is Kundalini Awakening. And to be honest, by the time I was in my recovery, all I wanted was to feel peace. That's what all of us want. After a big explosion in the brain and all the mystical information, who gives a crap that I'm able to access this ancient wisdom and teach it? Great, that's fascinating. That's my purpose in life. Awesome. But it means nothing to me in comparison to what my state of peace means to me. If I had to choose peace over a supernatural explosion in the brain, I would pick peace. Every time. That's what the whole thing is about. The cleansing that the Kundalini life force does in us is it brings us continuous peace. It brings us increasing levels of peace and clarity. We're outside of the loops, the mind calms, we're in the heart, we're here. We feel alive, we feel purposeful, we feel well. That is my awakening. If you guys watch my videos, you know I get emotional because I remember when the state of peace and well-being started to become my default setting, more than my state of despair, anxiety, unsurety, confusion. When it shifted and this became my status quo, I remember waking up and just crying for a full day because I felt so grateful that I had finally got there. Like, sure, I still had problems and things just to deal with, but it was such a relief to have my life in general feel wonderful and good. Not ecstatic. I just wanted content. I just wanted stable peace. And that came before the burst into my pineal many years after into recovery. You know, because the recovery is cleaning your system so that you are able to, so that the life force can actually even move there. There's a design to it. You don't get to jury-rig the design and have a massive explosion in your crown without having done the cleansing of the system. She would never allow that. The design, the Holy Mother's design, would never allow that because it's not good for you. So instead of asking about a Kundalini awakening, go and seek peace. Go and seek help. Go and seek recovery. And then when you're in it and you start feeling the results of that work, you won't even be thinking about Kundalini. You'll be actively engaged in your present experience. I let go of that attachment. Oh, this is uncomfortable. Oh, I do some somatic work. I integrate it. I'm doing okay. I'm good. I'm becoming more and more sovereign. Wait, here's another thing I do in my life. You get so focused on your own system and your own body and your life. You become an active participant in your existence because you're accountable to the help you've sought. Right? If you're in recovery, you are in group therapy, you're in therapies, you're in energy healings, you're in practice, you're learning shadow work, you become accountable to yourself. And that is Kundalini awakening. And you're so engaged in your own well-being and like noticing the increasing levels of evolution and continuous growth and healing that you don't think about the Kundalini awakening anymore. Why would you even think about that? Look for peace. And maybe, just maybe, at the end of the day, you'll have a supernatural explosion in the brain. But even then, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just tired of it, all the bypassing with Kundalini, like this obsession over it. You can't bypass recovery, unfortunately. And you either do it or you don't. That's the hardcore truth. But the mother's got to just be firm sometimes, right? It's not all roses. Well, it is. But you don't even know to open the rose. Oh, many thorns. Many thorns. Okay, beautifuls. I love you. And I hope that helped.